So in today's LibreOffice Impress tutorial, we're going to be working with slides and pages. Now, as far as LibreOffice goes, they use the word page and slide interchangeably. You'll notice on the left-hand panel here, if I'm going to add a slide, I right-click here and it says New Slide. However, if I go up above the panel where it says New Page, I can pick a page layout and I'm doing the same thing. So it's used as page here, it's used as slide here. So if I say page or slide, I'm actually talking about the same thing. Okay, so on the left-hand panel here, we have our slide display. And as we click on a slide, over on the right here, you'll notice that we have properties about that slide. Now, if this is not showing, this may be turned off here with this little button right here, this little arrow. It may be like that. So you might have to come over to the far right and click on that arrow right there that says show. Now, if you're just showing this far right panel, the sidebar panel, then what's going on is you need to open it up with clicking this properties button right here. So you can turn that on and off by clicking the property button over on the far right. So when we're here on the left panel again, and we click on the slide, over here it shows the layout and properties of that slide. So here we have the format. You can pick the screen size, which is 16 by 9 or 4 by 3. 16 by 9 is what I usually use because I'm displaying usually on a high def television. So anything that is 720p or 1080 high def is going to be 16 by 9. And then you can pick the orientation, which would be landscape or portrait. You can pick a background. You can pick just a plain color if you want to. And you click on color and then the color panel shows up here. If you don't like any of these colors, you can go to custom colors and you can dial it down even more by using the slider here and then picking the different colors within that spectrum there. So if you pick your orange here, then you can go dark or light with each one here. So you just click OK like that and it'll give you your color. Back over here on the right panel, you can pick gradient. And that's a transition from one color to another. For instance, I can go, say, yellow, and then gradient to, let's say green. And it transitions from yellow to green. And then within that, you can change the gradient. We'll get into that in another video. But back to the background here, you can pick Bitmap, and that would be a picture. You click on that, and then you can click on the Insert Image tab right here underneath the bitmap. And then it's going to ask you for a picture to pick. And we can pick anything here. Let's say, well, we've got one here, which is Bear Gate. And that picks the background for it. Now, this background here is the picture for it is part of the slide. So we're not going to use it as an animation because when the slide comes in, this background is going to be attached to the slide. So this is a background for the slide. It's not just adding an image. If we wanted to add an image that we can manipulate and bring in with an animation, we have to go up to the Insert tab here and then click here, Insert Image. But we're not doing that right now. We're just working with the slides themselves. So back over here we have Pattern. And the same thing with your background image. You would pick an image which would be your pattern image. And you can download patterns from the internet, custom patterns. And I don't have any on right here because I usually don't use the pattern. I usually use an image. Now this pattern here is not the same as a pattern that we would use for a box. Let me show you here. If you go Insert and then you go Rectangle here, you can draw a rectangle, and then back over here in the properties you can add patterns and things like that. But that's not the same as a pattern for a background. If you're going to use a pattern on a background, you're going to have to insert an image of your own. But over here we have, when we draw a box, of course, then we're looking at being able to pick a pattern, a predefined pattern and whatnot, but we'll get into that later. And there are quite a few patterns that they have defined here. So we're going to delete that just by hitting the delete button. Let's click this and go to blank slide. And then as far as pattern, we're going to take that off and hit none. So we got a clean slate here. Now, when we click on the slide here, over on the right-hand side, you have different layouts. You can select one with a slide with a title or a text box. you have one like down here, you have a title with 6 text boxes. And when I usually start with a completely clean slate and pick a blank slide like this. So now the transitions over here on the right hand side, you'll see below the properties, slide transitions. These have to do with the whole slide themselves. Now they're not, there's a difference between animation and transition. A transition is what's going to happen when a new slide is brought in from a previous one. In other words, when you click your mouse button and the next slide appears, how is it going to appear? Like say we go, let's say click box, and see that's how it appears. Now this is not talking about any objects that are on the slide or the page. It's the whole page itself or the whole slide itself transition. So over on the left hand side, let's click the slide, and then on the right, let's go back up to properties here, and let's pick a color. Okay, let's go with this orange here. And let's say that we want to create another slide. So we go back over to the left panel here. Now there are 2 ways to do it. We can right click underneath this slide and then left click new slide. Or we can go up here to new page, click the arrow down, and then you can pick your blank slide from here or any kind of predefined layout. But I'm going to click a new one here, just like that. So now I've got a blank slide here. So let's go back over to the right, and let's say that we want to pick a picture. So we hit Bitmap, we're going to insert picture, and let's just grab a picture here. Let's say this sheep right here. Okay, so we've got a background here. Now we've got our first slide here with just a colored background, and our second slide with a sheep background. Now let's create a new slide. Now let's say I wanted to put a slide in between the 2 on the left. Now what I do is I right click in between them and go new slide, and it inserts it between the 2. So let's select this slide here that we just inserted and go back over to the right, and let's go to insert image, and let's pick another image here. We'll go with this winter barn here. So we have our first slide with the orange color background, we have the second one with an image, and the third one with an image. Now let's suppose that I wanted this third slide up above this one, and I say that it's in the wrong spot. All I have to do is left click and hold and drag this right in between those 2, and then I've moved it. So now my first slide, second slide, third slide here. Now let's look at transitions. Let's take the number 2 slide here with the sheep, and let's go over here to the transition button. It's underneath the properties right here, and it gives you these selections here, these predefined transitions. So let's say we wanted to pick turn down, and it'll bring it in just like this. Now down on the bottom here, you'll see it says automatic preview. If I have that turned off, I won't be able to see my transition when I click on it. So this is just a preview of what it's going to look like. So if I want to see it again, I just click the play button and it'll show me again. So you can play around with these until you find one you like. Now let's suppose too that this comes in too quick. Okay, so let's say that that's too fast. Now you have here, you can modify the transition. This duration is how long it takes for it to show. You can also add a sound to it. Now, when you're in the presentation mode, this slide will not appear until you click a mouse. Like you see right here, it says advanced slide. The slide will advance when you click the mouse. You can also change it to automatically come in after a certain amount of time. But that's kind of iffy. That's, when you're giving a presentation, a lot of times you're kind of ad-libbing and talking and whatnot. So it's always good, I think, to keep it on mouse click. And then when you want the slide to come in, you just click your mouse and it comes in. So that one transitioned with tiles. Let's take the third one and give it a transition of split, like that. Okay, so let's take a look at our slideshow. We go up here to the menu, slideshow, and we click on start from first slide. There's our first one, and then we click. Second one comes in. There's our picture, and the third one comes in with our transitions. And then to exit this preview, we just hit the escape button. Now, as I said before, remember that when we're working with slides, we use the transition button over here. And the animation button is for objects that we put on the slide. So let's say I don't want this slide here with the orange background. All I have to do is right click and hit delete slide right there. Now you'll notice there are other options too when I right click on each slide. I can create a new slide, of course, it'll put it right below it. I can duplicate this slide, which makes an exact replica. I can rename it, I can hide it, and I can delete it. Now the deal with hide, here's the thing about hide. Let's click on that. Now when you click on hide slide, you'll see that it's got lines through it. That means in my presentation, that slide will not show up. Now the purpose of this would be that if you give presentations to different groups of people and you need to tailor it, but you don't want to redo your whole presentation, then what you do is you can hide certain slides and you modify it that way. So let's go up to slideshow and I'll show you. Start from first slide. And there you go. See, it's just showing the second slide. So let's hit escape. It just showed the number 2 slide because this one was hidden. So if you right click on it again, then you can show the slide, and then we go back to slideshow, start from beginning, and there it is. And then there's my second one there. So that is working with slides in LibreOffice Impress.